Record on the computer. Okay. How was everyone's weekend? Somebody give me a win. A win that they had. Okay, I'll go first.
I got my steps in today.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
And my protein.
What happens on
my water
for you?
Saturday I dropped off a little bit. It's cool. I died a little, but.
And last Saturday, I didn't want to call you out on it when I reshared your story, but I was like, what are Saturdays like for Shelby?
They're rough. I'm going to be honest. They're rough. Well, I got up early because I want to do some work.
Yeah.
And then I worked for so long and I was like, crap. I literally looked down and it said like 32 steps and that was to the bathroom and back. And I was like, oh, I should go out. But it was like pouring down rain. So I did some laps in the house. And then I was like, we really got to up this. And I went up and down the stairs. And then I was just like, okay, I'll just get my water in. And then I felt really sick at the end of the night. So I didn't eat dinner. So the protein just went out the window.
Okay. All right.
I got my water in.
Yay. Yay. That's all right. So for anyone that's just joining, we're talking about the December challenge, and she shared today, actually hers just tonight, of she got everything in today on a Sunday. She's finishing the week strong. So woohoo. But that was a win that she had. Anybody else have a win? Just go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay. Is Claire trying to talk? Because I just unmuted her. Okay. I think I'll get started now. For anyone else who comes in, I'll just try to click. Sam, what's up? You popped on my screen. I don't know why.
I was going to say, I guess a win I had is I went jean shopping and I bought some new jeans that are the smallest I've ever been. So that was fun.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah. So that's my win, I guess.
Let me think of what my win was. What win did I have? Honestly, I feel like my win was just being able to relax this weekend, but relax for me is do whatever I want. So I was able, yesterday I got 24,000 steps in, but I didn't plan on it. It was I went for a hike and then I went to Easton and met up with my sister and her kids. So I was just walking the whole time. But I love to have weekends where it's just I just get to do what I want. I don't know. I just like that. So that was a good one. All right. I'm going to get started here. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm recording. Let's go. All right. So let's get this out of the way. Oh, now I can't see. Present. All right. So when I started making this presentation, I was going with one template and then I was like, you know what? I like the other. So excuse if this changes after 4 slides, but the point is still coming across the same. So I'm talking today about your skin and mostly about the exposures that we have. So whether that's environment to our skin or even thinking about the things we're putting on our products or putting on our face that are products. I made a post about this today. Just went briefly over it. So that's why I kind of wanted to dive in a lot more with you guys. So of course, when I press that button, it doesn't jump to the next, but let's go. All right, so our skin is the largest organ in our body. It accounts for about 10% of our body mass. So considering that, that's pretty huge. It provides a number of functions, including protection, water preservation, shock absorption, sensation, and it says tactile and sensation, which is exactly what you do when I'm telling you to breathe into your belly. You're using your hand as guidance for sensation. Calorie reservation. I don't know what that's about. But vitamin D synthesis, which we get from the sun, and then our skin takes it in and puts it into our body. Really good stuff, which is why I'm big on that morning movement stuff. Temperature regulation, which is why we sweat, and lubrication and waterproofing. Is this really not gonna, okay. So let's go into the skin a bit more. Let me get rid of this banner. So a study published in the American Journal of Public Health looked into the skin's absorption rates of chemicals found in drinking water. The skin, it showed that the skin absorbed an average of 64% of those contaminants. Studies found that the face is more permeable than broad body surfaces. So maybe on our arms, our skin is more permeable, in an absorption rate of 100% for our underarms and genitalia. And I like to say it like that. That's funny. Basically, this should get you thinking about deodorant, or I say douching because I know that was a thing of the past, most likely, but there are products now that are like feminine wash for literally your vagina, make your vagina smell good. But I would encourage you to look into everything I'm talking about today. So just use this as a base level and dive deeper in for yourself. This is kind of putting together a bunch of things I've dove into for the last 2 years, because that's really when it took place for me. But another study showed 100% absorption for fragrance ingredients. And I'll dive in a lot more about what this fragrance is. And it's an ingredient found in literally almost everything. So did you know that your makeup or cosmetics that you put on your skin is not regulated? Not at all. It's not regulated by EWG, which is the Environmental Workers Group. And that basically lets us know that, hey, this product's okay to put on our skin. We're good to go. Makeup is not, that's like supplements. Supplements aren't regulated by the FDA. This is another dive into that, is cosmetics are not regulated. Basically, could they potentially put in whatever they want? Yeah, they can. So the FDA has only banned 8 chemicals and restricted 3. And this is kind of a disturbing fact that many companies continue to use toxic chemicals in the products simply because they aren't banned yet. Not enough research has shown yet, or blah, blah, blah. Not to mention, these harmful ingredients are much cheaper to use than organic ones. So what do you think is going to be happening? If something is cheaper to produce with more toxins, hey, it's going to sell fast. It's going to be a profit. So we have 2 million holes across our skin, 2 million. And unlike food, which has an opportunity to filter out the things that don't belong in our system, that go to our digestive system, our skin doesn't quite work the same. So this is why it's important. I'm gonna get rid of this banner here. So things that are in foods, for example, foods have preservatives in it, right? Right. They are found in foods that are everywhere, and this helps with shelf life. So anything in a bag or a box most likely has preservatives in it. And think about how, and this is just what I think of when I was jotting this down, of like what I think of preservatives. It's preventing that food from expiring. And when we ingest it, when we take it in, what is that doing to our insides? Like if it's preserving that food and we're taking in that preservative, is it preserving our insides? And is that similar to embalming? I don't know. These are just my thoughts that I'm having. So products contain harsh chemicals that easily make way to the bloodstream, and from there they can land anywhere in your body. So as the comparison was of like when we actually eat food, we have a way of cycling through those toxins, right? Our body is working our lymphatic system to pull out toxins and try to keep us as healthy as possible. Our skin doesn't really have that. So it can get absorbed directly after we absorb it. It can go into our bloodstream, and from there, kind of go anywhere. And fragrances, going more into this, I'll talk about this a lot more too, is they are hidden in products literally everywhere. I challenge you after this to go ahead and grab products you use every day, and guaranteed there's fragrance ingredient in it. And it, same as in a food label, whatever is like at the very top of the ingredient list, that is the most prevalent. So ingredient lists are labeled by the amount that's in it. So if it is labeled somewhere at the top, that's a lot of fragrance in it. And what exactly is fragrance? We don't really know. Companies legally don't have to claim what that is. So they can put fragrance, and usually you see it as, in the ingredient list, you'll see it as fragrance, and then the parentheses, it'll say perfume. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's perfume. Like they can literally hide anything in their product using the word fragrance, and we have no idea what that is. There's also a documentary on Netflix I watched, I think it was 2 years ago. Similar, it dove into this dad, and I'm going on a tangent now, but it dove into this dad who, like, children started getting, like his kids started getting these skin diseases. And I think the mother eventually in the family like passed from something, I don't remember what it was, but he basically was looking into like the clothes that they were even wearing. So he dove in deeper to like clothes that they had, things they were putting on their bodies, and found out that shit that was in their clothes they were buying was very toxic to their kids. So I forget what that documentary was. I'll have to find it, but moving on. It's not just what we put on our skin, but it's also the things around us too. We talked about food. I haven't really talked to you guys much about how you guys are cooking. So I don't want to say obviously avoid plastic, but think about how many times you cook heating things up in the microwave in plastic, or maybe you're on the stove and you're using a plastic spoon to cook your stuff with. That is kind of a toxin. Like plastic is essentially a toxin. So if you are taking like food and heating it up, I highly recommend getting glass containers. Yes, they break easy, but it is so much better to get rid of those toxins that you could be exposed to from heating up the plastic, that you have it in the glass. And then same thing with your cooking utensils. Using wood is even okay. I know there's wood, there's metal, things like that. You can definitely veer away from plastic in that sense. But in general, like environmental toxins that we have, it's everywhere. It's where we walk, it's where we breathe, work, and play, just the environment that we're in. Those particles sit on our skin and they can live there. And BPA, so BPA is found in some plastics, which is why you'll see a lot of your water bottles that are plastic. It'll say BPA free, but I mean, what else is in that plastic? So if your mother ever told you don't keep your plastic water bottle in your car over summer and then drink that water after a full day of it, this is kind of why. It's because the heating of that plastic is an issue. And I guess you can go as far as to like, okay, if we're putting those plastic things in the dishwasher is high heat too. Yeah, we're not drinking it at the time that it's really hot, but what all does that do? So BPA has been long studied as a carcinogen, which is basically means cancer causing. But unfortunately, it is still prevalent as an environmental toxin. And the reason that it's been considered a carcinogen is because it may cause also intestinal permeability too. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to say impermeability, but whatever. So let's do the breakdown of skin absorption. So there's 3 layers of skin. They're all called the epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous fat. So while our skin serves as a protective armor, keeping us and the rest of the world out, despite these 3 layers, substances still make their way through. And these are also found in many of the things we use every day. Lotion, sunscreen, which are filled with nanoparticles that are designed to easily penetrate our skin's walls. And that's supposed to be taken out there, used as demonstrations, whatever. So I got this from Shrek, kind of. So like an onion and an ogre, we have layers. So I kind of went and showed the 2 layers that the layers that we have. Here's the epidermis, which contains cells that produce pigment and protect our immune system. The dermis, nerve endings, oil, sweat glands, and hair follicles. Subcutaneous tissue made of fat, connective tissue, and larger blood vessels. So as you can see, when it absorbs and slides through, right there into blood vessels. And this is just another example showing the muscle layer right below it. So once a chemical passes through the superficial layers of the skin, it is more likely to be absorbed by our bloodstream or lymphatic stream, because our lymphatic system follows the same path of our veins. So you might be wondering, like, how much do we absorb, right? Really depends on the following factors. Chemical size. Is it a large chemical? If it is, often it cannot pass through our protective barriers. However, certain chemicals are just small enough to squeeze through. Skin temperature. Higher skin temperature is correlated with increased absorption. Why is that? Well, because your cells open up to release some of that sweat, right? To like almost like allow your skin to breathe. And that's why you can also clean your face better with warm waters, because we're loosening up those pores to kind of clean things out. Same thing could be in reverse. They're opened up, so now we have increased chance to absorb a lot of the things. Skin integrity. Is it damaged or not? Damaged skin absorbs more quickly and larger particles to sneak through. Chemical concentration. How much of the chemical or combinations of those is being applied? Large amount or number of chemicals combination equals the greater risk. And that's pretty obvious, I feel like. Exposure length. How long is the chemical in contact with your skin? The longer the exposure, the greater the risk. Area of skin exposed, scalp, face, arms, different areas of the body absorb more than others, depending on the thickness and temperature of the skin. So like I kind of started this out by saying, your face versus your armpits, what is going to absorb more? So what you put on your skin might be more toxic than what you put in your mouth. And this was a quote by Kresser. He is who I was introduced to his book 2 years ago by one of my physical therapy mentors. And it's crazy that it's physical therapy because this doesn't even seem like physical therapy, but I am very much into the holistic aspect of healing the body, moving the body, and this encompasses all of it too. So his book, The Paleo Cure, is what introduced me to a lot of these concepts I talk about today. And the book was less about the paleo diet and more about like ways to holistically and naturally like move our bodies, feed our bodies, and things like going outside for morning movement. Like all those principles are applied in here. So I really, really, really love this doctor. And he produced another book that I really like. It's Unconventional Medicine. So he comes from a conventional medicine background, which is you're going to your doctor's office, blah, blah, blah. But he actually does a lot of unconventional medicine. So that's more the holistic approach too. Really love him. Really, really love him. Oh, this is random slide. But we can also absorb things by our lips and our lungs. So as much as you're thinking about the things you put on your skin, what about the things that you put on your lips, like chapstick? What about your shampoos to wash your hair? We do actually absorb, I don't even want to say a lot more, I don't know for sure, but with our hair follicles, we tend to still absorb a lot through our skin with those hair follicles because we know that is the second layer of the skin or whatever. So that definitely helps absorb a lot better. So look out for these ingredients in your stuff. And I'm just going to see who's trying to get in here. Okay, sorry. All right, letting them in. All right, so looking into things is, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm just gonna say parabens and phthalates, whatever. It's a big concern over these two for increased risk of breast cancer. And the reason for that is because parabens specifically are synthetic estrogens. If you're putting things on your body that are synthetic estrogen, that's pretty much gonna throw off your hormones. And when you throw off your hormones, you have an increased risk for cancers, especially breast cancer, because now we're dealing with the actual female hormone. I would draw a blank there. Fragrances. So like it is pulled here, this is exactly how you might see it in ingredient list. The one big problem with this, I already told you, is it's not regulated, and they can literally put anything in there to be called fragrance. You'll notice a lot of your scented lotions or whatever, they especially have this in there, and you might be thinking, oh, yeah, they have this in there because it's a scent. Like, I would challenge you to ask, like, why do they have to use that as a scent? We have essential oils. We have things like that that are literally very natural that you could use as a way to fragrance or have some sort of scent to the product that you're wearing. And then triclosan or trichlorocarbon, whatever that is. These are chemicals that kill bacteria. They're banned by the FDA in soaps, but yet they're still common in deodorants and some cosmetics. It is one of the worst endocrine disruptors that encourages resistance to antibiotics. Woo! That's a bad one. Sulfates. They're found in toothpaste, body wash, shampoo, shaving cream, etc. Often derived from petroleum and not sustainable for the environment. It increases skin sensitivity. Aluminum. It blocks sweat glands to reduce the amount of sweat you secrete. It's easily absorbed by the skin and can accumulate over time in the brain, potentially causing Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and other neurological conditions. So as I was going over this, I went over to my bathroom mirror and I was looking at all, like, I don't know why I said mirror, but I was standing in front of my mirror looking at all of my products here. And I've done a really good job of trying to weed out and really implement toxin-free things, especially on my skin. So I will, after this, I'll show you the soap that I bought for a body wash and the stuff that I use as a shampoo. But I went through a phase where I was using toxin-free deodorant, and then it wasn't working for me. It just felt clumpy. So I definitely need to try out another brand that I'm going to show you on here. But I switched to Degree, and I turned the back of that today, and I was looking at it, and right there it had aluminum as like the second or third ingredient. I was like, oh my gosh, could this be things that are happening to me? But you have to pay attention to things that are on your stuff. You can't just take everything as like, oh, this is on the shelf, it's good for me, because we know better than that now, that it's not always best for us. So vitamin A compounds, retinol, palmate, whatever, acetate, retinol. Sunlight causes vitamin A to break down, producing free radicals that can damage DNA and increase skin sensitivity. And I will be talking further later on about sunscreen and sunlight as well. And I think they call these PEGs, and they are used as a preservative. So I already mentioned some of those earlier too. So some 5 ways to remove chemicals in your body products. Number 1, start small, and I'll dive into these a lot more. Download an app or find some resources. It is this app that I'm going to show you. I highly recommend you to download it. It's free, but I'll talk a lot more into its benefits and what you get from it too by just having it. But number 3, if you don't recognize it, don't buy it. And this goes on the same lines of the ingredient list. If it just seems like so many chemicals, your eyes are going cross-eyed trying to pronounce some of these. Same thing as your food, maybe not get it. What other thing can we do? Shop local. Farmers market, like you will know you can shop local, even Whole Foods, like they have local products there that are really trying to do a good job of just keeping everything natural. And lastly, I'll talk about swap for simple, or maybe even completely get rid of the product so you don't have to use it. So start small. I'm gonna get a sip of water here because I'm starting to like get cotton mouth. All right, I talk about starting small because it literally can feel like when I first started diving into this, I just felt like so overwhelmed because I scanned everything using that app I'm going to talk to you about for everything that I had in my home. And I couldn't believe how much stuff I had was ranked like on an 8 or 9 of the level of toxicity. And I had been using it for a really long time. So I just felt really overwhelmed too. And then the more you can start small, the better you will feel, because you can change a few things at first, right? Like maybe just your face wash, maybe your shampoo, conditioner, like just start out small of little things that you use most frequently. So whether that's stuff in your morning routine or your nightly routine of like face wash or whatever, just start out small with the things that you use the most, rather than something that you use every now and then. Start with a bigger picture and then move on. So for me, it was little like small things at a time. Deodorant came about halfway through. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, all those things I did immediately because I use those the most. But then I started looking into, okay, well, what about my dry shampoo? Like had to look into that too. And even the things that I wash my dishes with. So Method is a brand. I don't know if you guys heard of it. I don't even know how much I truly think it's the best out there, but as far as like availability, convenience, it's one of the better dishwash, even like hand wash soaps that I see in Kroger or whatever. So I could definitely do a better job in a lot of these things. But that is something that I slowly implemented. And then with my laundry detergent and things like that, that's my next step that I try. I'm trying to start small with it. So I'm just getting laundry detergent that is for sensitive skin. I don't necessarily have sensitive skin, but if you buy something that is like that, it is least likely to have some of those inflammatory products in it, or even some of those toxins that could be like that too. And another thing, this is just kind of far out there, but remember, if you are gluten-free or gluten intolerant and you're putting stuff on your skin that could potentially have gluten in it, even if it's your shampoo or whatever, your body's going to react the same. Just little FYI out there. I can't think of many things that are like in dairy that you're putting on your skin. Maybe there is, but if you have a dairy intolerance too, you got to look there as well. So start small, because if you try to change everything that you use at first, your number one is going to be pricey. I will tell you that it can get pricey depending on where you go. But it's going to be so overwhelming. So some alternative options here. The biggest thing, like I told you, is picking when I look for products, I pick that they don't have fragrance in it. And instead, you know, if it is something that is scented, I'll look to see what it is scented with. And I'm usually looking to see what oils they use to make it scented. So that is something to look into here. So Native is like the natural deodorant. I bought Schmidt's. Yeah, the brand that I bought was Schmidt's, and it's a natural toxin-free deodorant too. The first one I bought was actually like 2 years ago during Christmas, and it was like called Christmas Trees. Oh, it smelled amazing. It smelled like pine trees. And then the most recent one I bought, I think it was earlier this year, is the one that I thought it might be okay, but my boyfriend thought otherwise. He just hated when I wore my natural deodorant. So I guess it was lavender too. He's like, that doesn't really work for you. I'm like, really? It doesn't. So I gotta find a different one because he said I still like smelled, I guess. So whatever. But the toothpaste, that's another one that you gotta go dive into, because not only does that get on your lips sometimes, but it is literally, even though you're not swallowing it, it's still going in your mouth, where we absorb just the same. So this is a brand of toothpaste as well. I'm trying to think what toothpaste I grabbed. I can't remember the brand, so, you know, don't ask me that. But when I go to the grocery store, now that we've actually had this conversation and I'm presenting it to you, when I go to the grocery store next, I'm going to snap some pictures of things that I'm like, hey, this might not be bad. This might be a better option. Just send it to you guys. And you guys can do the same too in the WhatsApp group. If you find something you're like, this looks primarily okay, send it to us in the WhatsApp and let us know how it is, if you got it, and things like that. So this app, download it. It's free. You can literally scan every product label and it gives you a rating of how toxic that product is. And specifically, it talks about what is so bad about the ingredients in there, and it'll pull out the things that are like the worst about it. So I really love this app. You could go through the grocery store and do it before you go and buy stuff, but I would honestly download it now and just go through your like cosmetics and things right now and see how bad it is. Like, I don't even want to say how bad it is, because it's just it could make you feel like shit, but don't let it make you feel like shit. But it is very valuable. And it also gives alternatives for the items that you have and what you can get instead. That is a lot better option. And it tells you, I think it does tell you what stores you can go to get it, but it also like provides you links and like directs you to whatever that brand is, their website. So I honestly feel like that's expensive. Like when it starts to have you do that and you buy things from like, you have no idea, like, I don't even know what these things are. I want to show, for example, like Ocean One Beauty. Like I don't know that company, never heard of it, but you could buy it right there. So it's really nice. And it breaks down every single ingredient for you that are in things. And like I said, it rates, you know, obviously green would be good. And then there's yellow, that's half and half. Like, I'm sure those are things that research has shown some issues with it. Research hasn't shown anything, but super awesome app here. I'm just pulling up Native, and Native is like zeros for all these. So super clean for deodorant. Highly recommend getting this app. Moving on. So the third one for implementing things to get rid of some toxicity in your products, like I said, if you don't recognize it, don't buy it. And organic doesn't always mean it's the most safe. A product labeled natural or organic doesn't mean that it's free of harmful ingredients. So definitely dive in and see what they're actually saying is why it's organic, why it's natural. Remember, marketing is huge, right? I market all the time for my coaching. So always think that somebody's trying to market you something, and you'll start to pay attention to what are they saying this is, and what is it actually really. So flip it over, read ingredients, and see what it actually is. If you don't recognize it or don't understand the ingredient, I recommend not using it, but that is totally up to you. Like I said, you could be super overwhelmed with some things, and you're just like, oh, well, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm just going to still be using this. Whatever. Take everything here as a grain of salt. I just want to educate you guys, but if you can't pronounce it or it seems like a lengthy lab ingredient, consider it that. Like it's a chemical. It's a lab ingredient. And this goes the same with food, and you guys hear me talk about this too. Shop local. So COVID pending, whatever, wear a mask, go to farmer's market, farmer markets, local shops. There's people that like post up random tents somewhere. and they're probably trying to sell you things like this too. Whole Foods, a lot of people sell soap, like hand soap that they make. That's fairly cheap. Like buy that because and it's fairly cheap, but it's usually using things that they have at their home, right? They're not going out and buying chemicals to make that stuff. Why would they? So know where your products are coming from and support the companies that you believe in. Like I said, check out your local farmers markets. And I will say, when I first started doing this, I went to Whole Foods because obviously if you get Whole Foods, like it's just health, right? Best stuff there. It's really expensive, but that was my first, living in Columbus, that was the first place that I went for changing some of these things. Cause I told you, Kroger, places like that where I would normally get all my like groceries and then those other items too. It doesn't really have a lot of really good stuff there, but I will say grocery stores are definitely trying like to bring in some more of that holistic stuff, the natural stuff. So I guarantee now you could start finding more things, but Whole Foods is where I went to start this out. They sell a lot of toxin-free products, chemical-free, just a lot of good stuff that doesn't have the crap in it that you would usually get everywhere else. And a lot of times too, they sell a lot of local things there. So Whole Foods isn't just like, oh, like you're healthy when you go there, but they really do help out local farmers and companies as well. So some products can be more expensive because of more testing, probably for more purity. But then go back to like your local, go to your farmer's market because that's not fairly expensive. So choose your, I don't want to say choose your hard, but like choose your expensive. Like, do you want to go expensive Whole Foods wise and potentially support local at the same time too? Or do you want to go to like farmer's market and it's not going to be that expensive at all? So, for example, though, I know Columbus has a local soap company. And if you go into Short North and you go to a lot of the restaurants there in the bathrooms, they feature this Glen Avenue soap company. It's actually in, Shelby might know this, it's in Grand View, so where I used to live, and I think Shelby's currently living there. But it is their own soap factory company, whatever you want to call it. They're not a factory, I wouldn't say that, but a soap company. So I can't really see the ingredients in this, but from what I know, a lot of like restaurants are supporting this company, right? It's a local company that creates soap. So from what I think, I could definitely dive into some more research. It's a fairly good option for soaps and things like that. And it says it uses pure essential oil. So simple ingredients, whatever. I mean, that's marketing too, but I could flip that over maybe, hopefully sometime and check it out. But just dive into your local companies that are around you and try to support them. Swap for simple, or potentially just completely get rid of the product. Just look for soap that only contains oils and other recognizable ingredients. So ways to do this, swap for simple is literally to go simple, go basic. Oils like coconut, I don't know what jojoba is, whatever, but olive oil are great for your skin and widely available. Coconut oil, a lot of people use as like a moisturizer. So they actually moisturize your skin instead of drying it out. And I put coconut and palm oils because I'm pretty sure palm oils is a thing, but I also think it is a thing that palm is becoming like extinct or something, or like palm trees. I feel like I heard this, so I'm gonna pull up my thing to see if anybody's shaking their head. Have you guys heard about palm oil or like palm trees being okay, good. There's something going on where they're being like hurt and damaged. So I was like, but think about protecting these palm trees. So just ignore me, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing because when I was writing it, I was like, oh, I think there's something. Yeah, so whatever. Moving on. Simple ingredients such as bentonite clay, apple cider vinegar, and even honey can clean and condition hair without the chemicals. I don't know if I talk about this later, but there's, okay, maybe not. Remove all soap. So this is just like removing of everything completely. Like it can be done now, depending on how your body responds or whatever. Maybe you don't need deodorant. I don't know. Test it out. Try. Get rid of it completely and see what happens. But I know this might sound radical, but research has shown that our skin has a microbiome, just like our gut. And I've talked to you guys about the microbiome of our gut, but it acts as a built-in cleanser, deodorant, anti-inflammatory, and immune booster. So the chemicals in the skincare products can disrupt this microbiome. So going without them may restore your skin's ability to take care of itself. And I put caution because just be cautious. Like if you are doing it, like I don't know. Just be cautious, because I tried, and like I said, I was still a little bit stinky. But you got to think about it this way, though. Like, we didn't always have this nice products, right? We didn't always have cleansing things. So our body has to be able to do things by itself. If you break us down to our bare bones and what we're able to do, truly speaking, that's not something that we would need, because our body has to be able to clean and care for itself without help from products that we've created. So I just put that in there just as something to think about too. Also, shampoos and conditioner, these tend to absorb into the skin due to the increased absorption rate of the scalp, and also wash over the rest of our bodies, because we have hair on our arms. Mine are pretty hairy. Antibacterial anything, while some situations call for antibacterial soaps or hand sanitizers, which is huge right now. You guys know, hand washing. They can cause more harm than good when overused, and they also kill the good bacteria. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to dive too deep into that, because I know like the hand washing is huge right now, but I just wanted to put this little nugget out there. And I don't know if I mentioned it later on in this, but when I was researching into some of this stuff today, it said that if you look at an ingredient label and it has, is it called aloe vera or something? They said if that is in it and that and water are in it together, that you have to be careful of that product, because sometimes people put aloe vera in, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but aloe in products that have toxins in it, because it helps like try to minimize, or it helps something with the toxins that are in it. So I don't know. That was a little nugget that I thought was interesting. Choosing an effective sunscreen. So I definitely started this wave 2 years ago when I was reading into that Paleo Cure book. It says to avoid oxybenzone, and it's a synthetic estrogen that can penetrate the skin and disrupt hormone regulation, which is what those parabens I talked about earlier were, that led to increased risk of breast cancer. So consider the need to wear sunscreen anyways, and I'll dive into this again. But when I first told my family, I was like, it was when I was in Arizona, I was like, I'm not wearing sunscreen anymore. They were like, skin cancer. But sunscreen issues. Is it hurting or helping? For one, sunscreen that was analyzed for aluminum concentration, it's a single application would provide 200 milligrams of aluminum, which I talked about earlier, is a toxin to be aware of. Another concern is that as an oxidant, the aluminum in sunscreen might contribute to oxidative damage in the skin, increasing the risk of cancer. Moving on. However, over a larger concern are the ingredients that actually block UV rays, which is what we get from the sun. We get sunburnt for a reason. It's our body telling us to get out of the sun, or hey, you spent too long there. And since some sunscreens block the rays that burn us without completely blocking the rays that can cause skin damage, we might actually be harming our skin without realizing it. For this reason, the best approach to sun exposure is to build up sun tolerance gradually and get in the shade or cover up with a hat and shirt once you've had enough sun. Tanning is fine, just try to avoid getting burned. And they say to, like, the general rule of thumb is like 20 to 30 minutes outside. Like if you're gonna be out there in the intense sun or straight sun, just go for 20 to 30 minutes. See if you can go inside for a bit and then go back out. Or if you're going to be out for most of the time, wear long sleeves. I don't know if this is whatever, but when you go to Arizona or places that are primarily hot all the time, you'll see like the landscape workers that have to be outside all during those hot hours. You might drive past them and you're like, how the heck are they wearing long sleeves? How the heck are they wearing gloves and a hat and long pants? Like, and I thought the same thing. And I was out there, I was like, why is everybody so covered up? Like, this is hot. And I was out there in a tank top and whatever, but it's because they're out there for such long periods of time that they have to cover up that way to protect their skin. So there's a lot of times when you have to, or maybe you want to be in the sun all day, but might not be able to cover up or seek shade. It is recommended to use non-nano zinc oxide sunscreens, which have particles large enough that they aren't absorbed into the skin. So if you remember me talking about earlier, those nanoparticles easily slip into the skin because they're smaller. They can get in through. But the larger ones, like a non-nano, are large enough that they don't slip through. My boyfriend's walking in the door, so whatever. So what do? We can't really do much about our exposure to pollution or the off-gassing of building materials or the slew of toxic things that's all around us everywhere. But it's easy to shift to natural, non-toxic personal care products. That to me, and any evidence of possible toxicity from chemicals in conventional products is enough to sway me to avoid them. So that's kind of why I'm saying that, like 2 years ago when I was finally introduced to this stuff, I had no idea about all this. I felt like I was blindsided. That's why I felt so overwhelmed too. I was like, oh my God, for so long, like I've never paid attention to this, like never opened my eyes to it. So like I said, start small, but I think you're going to see that, you know what, it's the same thing as eating healthy. I would rather eat better options that are good for my body than potentially harm myself by eating processed, like heavily processed foods. And I know you guys are already thinking these things in your head, like, well, I'm actually going to opt for this instead of that because I know this will just do my body better in the long run, because we're not going to feel it that instant we're eating it. Most of the time, we're not gonna be like, oh yeah, this is so good in my body right now. But it's the long term. It's what are we doing for our bodies in the long term? And I know I told you that I got into this a couple years ago. And when I first told my family I was caring about the things that I put on my skin, it was kind of like I was like, I don't want to say like laughing stock, but they're just like, oh, here's Caddy going again on like some other tangent or whatever. But this got personal. And I'm talking about the Johnson & Johnson, and it's not a case study. It's actually a lawsuit going on, but I'm using this as like a study, not even a study. I'm just presenting this to you guys. Personally, my aunt passed away last year to mesothelioma, and it was from asbestos. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. She's actually involved in this Johnson & Johnson lawsuit because she had used the baby powder for the longest time. She had used their baby powder on her stomach or whatever, and she actually died of, I believe it was stomach cancer, but they said it was mesothelioma. So this actually, it gets personal for me. So I'm putting this out there just to make you guys more aware that this it's happening and people are literally dying from it. So I had to get that out there. So Johnson & Johnson will reportedly pay $100 million to settle more than 1,000 lawsuits that allege its talc-based baby powder causes cancer. The settlements include more than 75 mesothelioma cases brought by Simmons, blah, blah, blah. Johnson & Johnson still face more than 20,000 lawsuits alleging its talcum powder products, including its baby powder and shower to shower, cause ovarian cancer and mesothelioma. The FDA announced in October last year that it found a small amount of asbestos, I'm probably not saying that right, in a sample of their baby powder. It prompted Johnson & Johnson to voluntarily recall 33,000 bottles of the product out of an abundance of caution. So in May of this year, Johnson & Johnson announced it would stop selling the talcum powder in the US and Canada. Great, right? The company was adamant that the decision to stop selling the product had nothing to do with safety concerns. It was just blamed for the lack of demand in North America, due in large part to changes in consumer habits, basically around COVID too, and the safety of the product and constant barrage of litigation advertising. So they're really saying that, no, it's not that our stuff isn't safe. It was just due to lack of demand in North America, blah, 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 blah. That's the only reason why they took that much off the shelf. Despite the growing concerns of the cancer-causing agents, the products continued in the market and they continue to sell the baby powder to Black and Hispanic women. I don't know what that is right there. But the reason they segmented its marketing campaign without proper disclosure to the public that its product could potentially cause cancer. So now they were specifically targeting certain population. Culture Banks noted that J&J, Johnson & Johnson, had been a long-time undisputed leader in talcum powder, a staple among African-American households. Accused of aggressive marketing tactics, J&J commonly distributed samples of its iconic baby powder to beauty salons and churches throughout the Black community, putting these communities at a greater health risk. Investigations by Reuters revealed advertising campaigns sought to focus on geographical areas that were predominantly underdeveloped with higher Black and brown populations. It was also found that special emphasis was placed on areas that were known for its humid weather, locations that is. Baby powder mostly consists of talc, and it's a mineral used to keep the skin dry. So just kind of wanted to end with that lawsuit that is actually still going on for Johnson & Johnson. So if you guys, these are some of the resources that I used. I didn't specifically put the Forbes article on there, but the Forbes was about this right here with Johnson & Johnson, the latest in their lawsuits. And this is the book that I mentioned that it's less about the paleo diet, like, and just eating paleo, but it's more about holistic lifestyles, getting back to our, I want to say back to our roots, right? Like back to how we were hundreds of years ago. So if you're open and to like learning different perspectives and you're somebody that's like that, just wants to learn more, highly recommend that book. Absolutely. So I'm going to open the floor. Do you guys have any questions, comments? I kind of want to hear from Chelsea if she's in here. Yeah, because I know she actually dealt with some skin issues from a product she was using. So does anybody else, you can just unmute yourself if you want to share or talk about if you've experienced anything like this, or maybe hit personal like it did me.
Yeah, your girl right here. I got lots of skin issues. I'm allergic to like everything. So I wouldn't say like super clean stuff, but I started switching things out in like high school just because I would get like blisters and bleed, and it would be so bad, especially on my lips. Like I can't use chapsticks or anything, only Vaseline, which is like, a lot of people say it's bad because it's not naturally occurring, but it's the only thing I can use.
No way. So high school when you first like got into more like the products that you're putting?
Yeah, since so like my lips, it was like those EOs,
Yep.
those like round ones.
Yeah.
They smelled good, they look cute, they go in your purse. And I used it for I think maybe a month or two, and then my lips started swelling up and they're bleeding, and we couldn't figure anything out, and we were like changing out my toothpaste and everything, and it turns out it's chapstick, because every like once in a while I'll be like real reckless if I'm like out with some friends and they have chapstick and my lips are dying. I'm like let's see. And yeah, my lips end up like blistering and bleeding.
That's crazy, but I'm glad that happened to you earlier on, right? So it made you pay a little bit more of attention to something like that.
Yeah, and if I don't know if anybody else lives in Columbus, but there's a place in Grandview. It's called Fine Feather, so they do a lot of clean beauty, clean like products there.
Yeah, I saw your comment on there. I forgot to mention in this like presentation, but when I started switching over, the last thing I started switching over was my makeup. Bare Minerals. They're for having several beauty products, like they're ranked one of the top that are really good for reducing toxin exposure and just better ingredients in their stuff. So that was the last switch I made, and I did it earlier this year. So definitely like their stuff.
All right. So I love this topic. I was so excited when you said you're going to do this. So I have been switching over to natural products for about 3 years now. I'm not fully ditched and switched, but I'm 90% there.
Wow.
Ironically, when we were doing this, I was making my home Clorox wipes. So I don't do any like Clorox wipes in the store. It's so bad for you.
Wow, so you're a little
bad to your skin. Yeah, so I make at-home stuff, which I could totally give recipes and talk you through everything I do. But yes, glass. Because there's lemon essential oil in this, and lemon will break down plastic. Yes.
Question.
So if we, yeah.
What do you think about, I think the brand's called Method, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I like them. I currently use more of Young Living, which I know people have heard of it. It's expensive, I'm not gonna lie, but I do the $50 a month where you just have to pay $50 a month on whatever product, and it's just an auto renewal. I like Method. I think it's a cleaner option for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best. Like, I would agree with you. There's probably better out there.
Yeah.
Because I did look at my dish soap that I had, and I think it still had like fragrance listed in it, but it said it's without parabens and some other things like that. But it still has those ingredients in there that are questionable. So I might actually like go through and scan that tonight on my app.
Yeah.
And, like, how good is it? But
I know I already downloaded the app because I'm very intrigued by that. So I use through Young Living. It's Thieves is the brand. I love Thieves.
and that's
Love
to wash
it.
all your fruit, right?
Yeah, there's fruit spray. So like I clean all my fruits and veggies, all my produce with it, and it's so gross what comes off of your produce that I never knew. Like so gross. And then that's what's in this with distilled water. And then I do a whole bunch of essential oils, so it smells good. With essential oils, though, do make sure if you're getting them from like Whole Foods and stuff, you're still reading the label because there's still sometimes fragrances in there.
Yes. I love that. If you could like send in the WhatsApp group, about this in there, send links to like Young Living, because I think that's my next step is like diving into that.
Yeah, so I have Dragon Time. I had ovarian problems, and so I do Dragon Time and this Progestins Plus, which is all for female hormones, for ovaries, for cervical health. And I went for my first annual test, and I haven't been cleared on PAP in about 3 years. I've had to have surgeries done and everything. Since using these, I was cleared. So I was like, oh, okay. Endoflex is for thyroid. Digest is for any tummy issues.
I need that thyroid one.
Yeah, you put it on every day. I feel great.
Okay.
You brought up Native. I have it. This one smells really good. I haven't had issues with it, but I did read that if you switch to natural deodorants, it takes like up to a month for your body to detox out all the nasty stuff. Yeah. So I'm in that detox right now, but I take this to work with me, which has been helpful.
I think that is one of the like best brands for natural deodorant, because the Schmitz, I think mine's called Schmitz, and the first one was good, but the last one he doesn't like when I wear it. So
I will say, so Young Living is a lot more. They've expanded. So I like that they have the seed to seal promise, where they literally put it directly into the bottle. So they write everything on it. It's clear cut. There's no hidden agendas. But they do a lot more than oils now. So like I've gone even to like my cleaner. So this is like a mint cleaner, a facial scrub.
Okay.
Shelby, you'll like this. They do chapsticks. So cinnamon and grapefruit. I had the same problem with chapsticks. Don't have the problem anymore. Like I said, the cleaner, which I've had this little bottle. It looks little and you're like, holy crap, that's expensive. Had this for 2 years because it's only a capful at a time for about 32 ounces.
Okay.
So it's a long way. And then last but not least, what is it called? Bentonite clay. This stuff, magical. Got it at Target.
Didn't I talk about that? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yes.
Like specifically that. So what do you use that for?
So I have been running into maskne, like really bad. And my skin just feels so clogged at the end of the day from wearing the mask all day. And so I do equal parts this with apple cider vinegar, and it has literally, I don't know if you can like see, it's cleared my face up completely. Like there's nothing. So you do it once a week. So worth it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you hopped on here. You're like the perfect person to come on here.
I told you I was pumped when you said you were doing this. So
I thought I had some of my shit like down. Like, no, you are I like signing up tonight for Young Living. Like that's how much you just like inspire.
Yeah, they do laundry detergent, so all my laundry detergent's completely clean. Dishwashers completely clean.
What do you use for your laundry?
Say what?
What do you use for your laundry detergent?
They make it's Thieves laundry detergent.
Okay.
So Thieves has an entire household line where you can do like a starter kit with everything natural.
Wow.
And I actually have friends, so I got into it because my friends from grad school started like getting really into it, and she is so much more than me. So like I can do her Instagram accounts in the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
She does like DIY tips and tricks to make it last longer, like the hand soap, the toothpaste, the mouthwash, they do it all.
Oh, wow.
Literally anything you want, they do.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it. Like, I can't wait. I'm doing it now. Like,
Yeah. And any questions you have, ask me, but I will probably relay you on as well to Sierra and Jordan because they have helped me quite a bit. And they are, like I said, they do all makeup. So Young Living now has a Savvy line, which is all natural makeup.
wow.
So literally everything. Definitely check out Young Living.
I was wondering if Sam,
I also do Young Living too.
do you really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
else do you get?
And if you're looking for, I do all the laundry stuff. I got rid of fabric softener and I just bought wool dryer. They go little dryer balls that go into your dryer so you don't have to use fabric softener. And then if you need aluminum-free deodorant, I use the Dove. I've tried the Native. I don't love it, but Dove also has a line of aluminum-free, and that seems to work for me. But we do the same thing. We use a lot of vinegar, essential oils, just really reducing the chemicals that we use, especially with my kids. So I use Young Living all the time, and definitely works for sure. I love it. It's great.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I found my fruit and veggie soak too. So it's like this cute little bottle.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, awesome. Wow. See? Look what happens when we collaborate. Love it, love it. Anybody else?
Wait, one question. I
Yeah.
remember watching a documentary and something went down with Young Living, like super bad. Does anybody? I don't 100% remember if it was like image or if it was like they were lying to consumers.
Yeah, something, I don't remember exactly what it was. Something about the main guy who started creating it and said he was a doctor when initially he wasn't a doctor. But the oils have been approved through like the FDA and stuff, which made me feel better.
Okay, so it was just like him in general being a bad person.
That's what I think. That's at least what I know. I'll ask Sierra and Jordan too, because that's a great question.
I just remember that popping up, and I've always been like super hesitant towards that company since then.
Yeah, the nice thing is like I didn't like want to move up at all, like because people say it's possibly like a pyramid scheme and stuff like that. I didn't want to move up, so I literally just do the $50 a month and I'm good. Like I don't need to move up to a gold standard of platinum or whatever.
That sounds like Advocare. So I was talking, I think it was Brittany. We were talking about, she was into Herbalife. And Brittany's new here too. So if you're seeing some new faces, we do have some new people in here. You'll start.
Oh, hi guys.
Look how pretty she is. But yeah, she was talking about Herbalife and, just realizing like, okay, yeah, that was actually crap. And I was like, yeah, I did Advocare and I was trying to get everybody on that too. And realizing like, no, I was really just paying for like the monthly just to keep getting my stuff. I wasn't trying to like move up at all. So I definitely understand those situations. Same with First Form. I actually just don't First Form because of that too. I mean, I like First Form, but that whole like get people under you, blah, 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 it's like, no, let me just, but yeah. Awesome stuff. Anybody else have anything more they want to share or questions? Maybe even Chelsea could answer it. No, it's really interesting. So I definitely challenge you. Homework is to, I don't want to give you like homework, but like download that app and start scanning some things that you use on the daily. That'd probably be the first thing you want to take notice of to try to either eliminate or find an alternative product. So dive into that a little bit more. But other than that, thank you guys for coming on here. It was a lot, and I'm so excited that Chelsea shared that, and Brandy. So super cool stuff. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night, okay?
Okay, good night.
Bye. Good night.
Night.